The sun was slowly rising over Los Angeles, painting the sky with soft orange and pink colors. Inside a small but cozy apartment, Emily Parker, a 28-year-old graphic designer, sat quietly at her kitchen table. Her coffee had already gone cold, but she didn't notice. She was too lost in her thoughts. Life wasn't going the way she expected. She worked long hours, but her bank account was always close to empty. She dreamed of starting her own design studio, but she had no idea where to begin. Most days, she felt tired, worried, and frustrated with herself. That morning felt different, though. Emily woke up with a strange heaviness in her chest, the kind that comes when life feels stuck and nothing seems to move forward. She needed a sign, a push, anything. While looking for an old sketchbook, she opened the bottom drawer of her desk and found something she didn't remember seeing before. A thin black book with golden letters on the cover that it said, "The Secret." Emily frowned. Did I buy this? When? Why is it here? She turned the book over, looking for clues, but it had no price tag, no notes, nothing. It felt worn out, as if many hands had touched it, but she had no memory of owning it. Curious, she sat on the couch and opened it. The very first line made her heart beat faster. What you think about, you bring about. She read it twice. Was it saying that her thoughts could shape her reality? She continued reading, page after page, learning about something called the law of attraction. The idea that the energy she sends out through her thoughts and emotions attracts similar experiences back into her life. If she focused on fear, she'd attract more feared. If she focused on opportunity, she'd attract opportunity. The idea sounded unbelievable, almost magical, but something inside her whispered, what if it's true? She closed the book and held it against her chest. For the first time in months, Emily felt a small spark of hope. That evening, she decided to try it. She sat cross-legged on her bed, closed her eyes, and imagined something simple yet powerful. Good things are coming to me. She repeated it slowly, breathing deeply, letting the words settle into her heart. Emily didn't know it yet, but this single moment, this tiny decision to think differently, was the beginning of a transformation that would change every part of her life. That a new journey had quietly begun. The next morning, Emily woke up feeling slightly different, lighter, calmer. She didn't know if it was because of the book or because she finally allowed herself to hope for something better. For the first time in a long while, she didn't get out of bed with that familiar knot of worry in her stomach. As she walked into the kitchen, she noticed something unusual. Her phone was buzzing with a notification that it was an email from a client she had worked with months ago, someone she thought had forgotten about her. The subject line said, "New project opportunity." Emily blinked. Was this the good thing she had imagined last night? She opened the email quickly. The client wanted her to design a full branding package for a small but growing restaurant in downtown Los Angeles. It was a bigger project than she usually handled, and the payment was much better than anything she'd earned in the past year. For a moment, Emily just stood there in silence. The timing felt too perfect. She whispered to herself, "Is this the secret working?" She shook her head, half laughing. Maybe it was just coincidence. Still, inside her chest, that spark of hope glowed a little brighter. Later that day, she decided to take a walk to clear her mind. She wandered through the streets of her neighborhood, watching people rush to work, listening to the distant sound of traffic and the occasional siren echoing through the city. Los Angeles always felt big, loud, and overwhelming. But today, it felt full of possibilities. As she walked, she kept thinking about the idea from the book. What you think about, you bring about. If that was true, then maybe she needed to change the way she talked to herself. She realized how often she told herself things like, "I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. Life is just hard for me." What if those thoughts were creating her reality? She paused on the sidewalk, letting that question sink in. For years, she had been carrying heavy thoughts without even noticing. Maybe it was time to carry something different. When she returned home, Emily opened The Secret again. This time, she read more slowly, underlining sentences and writing small notes in the margins. The book talked about gratitude, visualization, and choosing positive thoughts with intention. It also said something that made her stop and read again. You are the creator of your story. Change your thoughts, and your story will change. Emily closed her eyes and imagined a new version of herself, one who was confident, successful, and calm. She pictured her future design studio, the clients she would work with, the freedom she always dreamed about. For the first time, she didn't just wish for it. She felt it. That evening, she sat by her window, watching the city lights glow in the distance. She placed the book beside her and whispered softly, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's see where this takes me." And without realizing it, Emily had just taken her first real step into a much larger world, a world shaped not by fear, but by intention. Over the next few days, Emily tried to follow the ideas from The Secret as honestly as she could. She wasn't perfect at it, far from it. Some mornings she woke up worried again, thinking about bills or deadlines. But each time negative thoughts appeared, she gently reminded herself of the book's message. Focus on what you want, not on what you fear. It wasn't easy, but something inside her had started to shift. The big meeting a few days later, she had her first meeting with the restaurant owner who wanted her to design the branding package. His name was Marco Hernandez, a friendly man in his early 40s with an energetic personality and a warm smile. They met at his restaurant, a cozy place filled with the smell of fresh bread and garlic. Emily sat across from him, notebook open, trying to hide her nervousness. Marco leaned forward and said, "Your work is impressive. I want my restaurant's new brand to feel modern, but still connected to our family's roots. Think you can do that?" Emily swallowed. Normally, she would doubt herself, hesitate, or say something safe like, "I'll try." But today, she remembered the book's advice. Speak as if you already are the person you want to become. So she smiled and replied, "Yes, I can definitely do that. I have a lot of ideas." To her surprise, she actually felt confident saying it. Marco nodded, satisfied. "Great. I trust you," he said. "Let's make something amazing." When she walked out of the restaurant, Emily felt taller, stronger, the old version of her. The insecure Emily who constantly second-guessed herself felt a little further away. A strange realization that evening. After a long day of sketching designs and brainstorming, Emily sat on her bed with The Secret in her hands again. She noticed something important. The more she practiced positive thinking, the more opportunities seemed to appear. The meeting with Marco had gone better than she expected. She had received 2 new small job inquiries through email. Even her mood felt lighter throughout the day. It was as if the world had started to respond to her differently. She whispered to herself, "Maybe this isn't magic. Maybe this is me finally seeing things that were always there." But the book said something else, something she had underlined earlier. When you change the way you think, the universe changes the way it responds. She didn't know which explanation was correct. What she did know was that something real was happening. An unexpected phone call just as she was about to put the book down. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed the name, Dad. Her father rarely called. Their relationship had grown distant over the years, mostly because of small misunderstandings and stubborn silence. Emily stared at the screen, surprised. She took a deep breath and answered, "Hi, Dad." There was a pause, then his familiar voice, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Wanted to check in. You doing okay?" Emily felt her throat tighten. For months, she had wished for a moment like this, some sign that her family still cared, still wanted connection. And now, out of nowhere, it was happening. "Yes," she said softly. "I'm doing better. Thanks for calling." They talked for almost 20 minutes, more than they had spoken in years. They laughed, shared small stories, and even made plans to meet for lunch soon. When the call ended, Emily sat quietly, her eyes warm with emotion. Was this another coincidence? Another good thing arriving because she expected good things? She didn't know. But she felt grateful, deeply grateful, and gratitude, she remembered from the book, attracts even more positivity. Emily placed her phone beside her and whispered, "Thank you. More of this, please." She didn't realize it yet, but a new flow had begun in her life, one that would soon bring challenges, opportunities, and lessons she never expected. The next week felt different, almost as if the rhythm of Emily's life had changed. She woke up earlier, felt more energetic, and even noticed small positive moments that she used to ignore. A friendly barista at the coffee shop, a stranger holding the door, sunlight falling beautifully across her apartment floor. She wasn't suddenly rich or famous, but, for the first time in years, she felt alive. Still, the book warned about something important. Your old thinking will try to pull you back. Stay focused on the life you want, not the life you fear. And soon, Emily would see exactly what that meant. White medium star. A moment of doubt. One afternoon, Emily was working on designs for Marco's restaurant when she received an unexpected message from her bank. Low balance alert. Her stomach tightened. It was the same message she had received many times before, but now, after everything she had learned, it hit differently. The old Emily inside her whispered, "See? Nothing is really changing. This positive thinking stuff isn't going to help you." For a moment, the room felt heavy again. Her hands grew cold. Her mind started racing with fear. What if this project falls through? What if I fail? What if the secret is just a silly idea and I'm fooling myself? She felt her breathing become fast and shallow, but then she remembered another line from the book. A single negative thought can grow unless you replace it with a stronger positive one. So she closed her eyes, placed her hand gently over her heart, and whispered, "I am safe. Money is coming. Opportunities are flowing to me." She repeated it again and again, until her heartbeat slowed and her shoulders relaxed. Slowly, the fear faded. Not completely, but enough for her to refocus. White medium star. The breakthrough. 2 days later, Emily received a voice message from Marco. "Hey, Emily, I just saw the first draft of your designs. They're amazing, exactly what we need. I want to officially hire you for the full project. And we'll increase your payment because this is bigger than we thought." Emily replayed the message twice, not believing her ears. More money, more trust, more opportunity. She felt her eyes fill with tears, not from sadness but from relief and excitement. Maybe this was working. Maybe she really was changing her life. White medium star. A visit to the bookstore. Feeling inspired, Emily decided to visit a local bookstore in downtown LA. It was a cozy shop with wooden shelves, warm lights, and the comforting smell of old paper. She wandered through the self-help section, wondering if there were more books that could help her grow. As she walked, a woman in her 60s approached her. She had gentle eyes, silver hair, and a calm energy that made Emily stop and smile without knowing why. The woman looked at the book in Emily's hand and said softly, "You've started a powerful journey. But remember, learning is only the first step. You must live it." Emily's heart skipped a beat. "How do you know what I'm reading?" she asked. The woman simply smiled. "I've seen many people begin their path with that book. Stay consistent. The universe listens." Before Emily could say another word, the woman walked away and disappeared behind a tall shelf. Emily stood still, unsure if that moment was strange or magical, or both. White medium star. The new vision. That night, Emily sat on her couch with a sketchbook in her lap. But instead of designing logos, she drew something else, a vision of her dream life. She sketched a bright, modern design studio with her name on the door, a team of creative people working beside her, clients who appreciated her talent, a comfortable apartment with big windows and plants everywhere, a peaceful, financially stable version of herself, smiling, confident, free. When she finished, she stared at the drawings and whispered, "This is my future. I can feel it." She placed the sketchbook on her nightstand, closed her eyes, and let herself fall asleep with hope in her heart. She didn't know it yet, but tomorrow would bring a challenge that would test everything she had learned so far. The next morning, Emily woke up feeling peaceful. She stretched, opened her curtains, and welcomed the warm California sunlight pouring into her room. Everything seemed calm until she checked her email. At the top of her inbox was a message from Marco, the restaurant owner. The subject line made her breath pause. "Urgent. We need to talk." Her heart started beating fast. Those words rarely meant something good. Emily clicked the email with shaking fingers. White medium star. The unexpected problem. Emily, the message read, "We love your work, but we hit a major problem. The city rejected our renovation permit. We might have to delay the entire project. I'll call you soon." Emily leaned back on her chair, her mind swirling that if the project was delayed, her payment would be delayed too. She needed the money to cover rent, bills, and basic expenses. Everything she had been working towards suddenly felt uncertain. Fear crept in quietly. What if you lose the project? What if everything falls apart again? She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Just yesterday, she had promised herself she would stay positive. But this was exactly the kind of moment when her old thinking tried to drag her back. She remembered another line from The Secret. "Challenges are not signs to give up. They are chances to prove that your belief is stronger than your fear." Emily sat up, placed her feet firmly on the floor, and whispered, "Everything is working out for me, even if I can't see it yet." White medium star. The phone called 20 minutes later. Her phone rang. It was Marco. She answered immediately. "Hi, Marco. I saw your email. What happened?" He exhaled loudly. "The city inspector said our kitchen expansion doesn't meet the new safety rules. We have to redesign that section. It's going to push things back." Emily listened quietly. Then Marco continued. "But I want you to know something. You're still on the project, and I'm still paying you your next installment this week. This isn't your fault. Your work is great. We just need time." Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "I really appreciate it." "Of course," he replied. "We'll get through this. The vision is still alive." When the call ended, Emily sat in silence. The situation wasn't perfect, but it wasn't the disaster she feared either. Maybe staying positive really did attract a calmer outcome. White medium star. A lesson in trust. Later that afternoon, Emily decided to take a walk to clear her mind. She strolled through a small park near her apartment. Families were having picnics, couples walked hand in hand, and children laughed as they chased pigeons across the grass. Watching them made her realize something important. She had spent so much of her life expecting the worst that even small problems felt like the end of the world. But the secret taught her something different. Trust the process. The universe is arranging things for your highest good. As she sat on a wooden bench under a large oak tree, she wrote a sentence in her notebook. "Things are working out for me in ways I can't see yet." For the first time, she truly believed it. White medium star. A new opportunity. That evening, Emily returned home feeling refreshed. She opened her laptop to check her portfolio, and while browsing, she noticed a new message in her Instagram inbox. It was from a well-known lifestyle blogger with over 200,000 followers. "Hi, Emily," the message began. "I found your design work through a friend. I'm looking for someone to help me rebrand my entire social media look. Are you available?" Emily stared at the message in shock. Another big opportunity, completely unexpected, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. She smiled to herself and whispered, "Thank you, universe." She typed back confidently, "Yes, I'd love to work with you. Let's talk details." Emily closed her laptop, feeling proud. Something inside her knew this wasn't luck. This was alignment. This was the secret working through her belief, her gratitude, and her new mindset. But her journey wasn't over. In the next days, Emily would face a choice that could change everything. Her career, her confidence, and even her future. And the universe was preparing her for it. The next morning, Emily woke up with a sense of excitement bubbling inside her. She had a new project possibility with a big lifestyle blogger, and her work with Marco was still secure despite the delays. Everything seemed to be moving in a positive direction, but deep inside, she knew something else was happening, something bigger. She was changing, not just her luck, but her way of thinking, her energy, her direction. Today would prove that more than ever. White medium star. The coffee shop meeting. Emily arranged to meet the lifestyle blogger, Lena Brooks, at a trendy coffee shop in West Hollywood. When Emily walked in, she instantly recognized Lena, stylish, confident, with long dark hair and a bright smile. Her presence filled the room. "Emily." Lena stood up and hugged her warmly. "I've been waiting to meet you. Your work is beautiful." Emily felt a warm flush of pride. "Thank you so much. I'm excited to hear your ideas." They sat at a small table near the window. Outside, the city was alive. Traffic, music, conversations. Yet their meeting felt calm, focused, almost meant to be. Lena explained her vision. A full rebrand, new color palette, logo, Instagram highlight covers, digital templates, the whole package. And she wanted Emily to lead everything. When Lena finished, she said something that made Emily freeze for a second. "I can pay you well. I believe in fair compensation, especially for creatives." Emily wasn't used to hearing that. Most clients tried to push prices down, not up. She took a breath and said, "That sounds great. I'd love to take on the project." "Perfect," Lena said. "Welcome aboard." The meeting lasted another hour, full of ideas, laughter, and excitement. By the time Emily left the coffee shop, she felt like the universe had opened another door for her, one she hadn't even known existed. White medium star. Old fear returns, but when she returned home, all that excitement slowly slipped away. As she sat at her desk, Her mind began whispering old doubts. Are you good enough for this? What if Lena doesn't like your designs? What if you're taking on too much? What if you mess up? Emily dropped her pencil, frustrated. Why did these thoughts keep returning, even when things were going well? She grabbed the secret from her nightstand, opened it randomly, and her eyes landed on a sentence she had highlighted days earlier. Your mind will always offer you fear. Your job is to offer faith. She closed the book and whispered to herself, I choose faith. Slowly, the fear softened, not gone completely, but no longer controlling her. White medium star the vision board that evening. Emily decided to take her transformation a step further. She printed out photos, quotes, and sketches and created a large vision board on her bedroom wall. It included a photo of a bright modern office labeled My Design Studio, a picture of a bank balance with more zeros than she had ever seen, a woman confidently presenting her work to a crowd, a passport and travel photos from places she dreamed of visiting, a quote from The Secret, ask, believe, receive. When she stepped back and looked at the board, she felt a rush of emotion. This wasn't just a dream. It was her future, and she finally believed she could have it. White medium star a powerful shift later that night. Emily lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She wasn't thinking about bills or deadlines. She was thinking about possibilities. She whispered softly, I am becoming the person I always wanted to be. And as if the universe heard her, something happened that she didn't expect. Her phone buzzed with a new email notification. She opened it, and her mouth dropped open. It was from a well-known design magazine. Hi, Emily. We've seen your work online and would love to feature you in our upcoming article about rising creative talent. Emily sat up, stunned. Her hands were shaking as she read the message again. A feature in a real magazine. People noticing her work on their own. This wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. This was alignment. This was the universe responding to her new energy. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, Thank you. I'm ready for more. But tomorrow, a twist would arrive, one that would test her belief harder than ever before. Emily woke up early the next morning, feeling energized by all the new opportunities unfolding in her life. The feature request from the design magazine had filled her with excitement and pride. For the first time, she felt seen, valued, not just by clients, but by the world. But the universe, she would learn, doesn't only send blessings. Sometimes, it sends challenges to test how strong your belief truly is. White medium star the unexpected email around noon. While Emily was working on logo drafts for Lena's rebrand, her laptop chimed with a new email. She opened it without thinking. Her heart sank the moment she read the first line. Emily, we need to discuss the restaurant branding. We've run into another issue. Emily felt the familiar wave of fear rising inside her. Not again. Not another problem. She opened the full email quickly. This time, the issue was bigger. A competitor restaurant nearby had launched a very similar concept, and Marco's investors were worried. They wanted to rethink the entire branding strategy, colors, style, even the name. Everything Emily had created so far might be thrown out. For a moment, it felt like all her progress was collapsing. She closed her laptop gently, leaned back in her chair, and stared at the ceiling. The old voice in her mind returned. See? Things fall apart for you. They always do. But then Emily felt something else, something she hadn't felt before. A stronger voice underneath the fear. You can handle this. You are not who you used to be. She took a deep breath, placed her hand over her heart, and whispered, Everything is happening for my good. I trust the process. White medium star facing the challenge that afternoon, Emily met Marco and his team at the restaurant. Tension filled the room. Everyone seemed stressed and anxious. Marco sighed and said, We're not blaming you, Emily. Your work is good, but we need a fresh direction. Something unique. Something bold. Emily listened with calm focus, surprising herself. She had every right to panic. But instead, she felt strangely centered. She opened her notebook and said, Okay, let's talk about what you want the new vision to feel like. I can adapt. Marco looked relieved. You're really willing to start again? Emily smiled. I can create something even better. This challenge might be the push we need. The team nodded, and the atmosphere began to soften. In that moment, Emily realized something powerful. Her response to problems had changed, and because of that, Her results were changing too. White medium star a moment of inspiration when she returned home. She didn't feel drained or defeated. Instead, she felt inspired. She sat at her desk and began sketching new ideas. Bolder colors, sharper typography, innovative concepts she had never tried before. Hours passed without her noticing. She was in flowed, a T1 point. She paused and smiled to herself. This is who I'm becoming, she thought. A woman who doesn't break when life tests her. She rises. White medium star the universe responds again around 9 p.m. As she was putting away her sketchbook, her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. She hesitated, then answered. Hello? A cheerful voice replied. Hi. Is this Emily Parker? My name is Sarah. I'm the assistant manager of the design magazine that contacted you. We want to do a full-page feature instead of a small mention. Your work is incredible, and we'd like to schedule a photo shoot. Emily felt her breath catch out a full-page feature. She had dreamed of something like this for years. That's amazing, Emily said, almost whispering. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. After the call ended, she sat quietly on her bed, tears filling her eyes, not from fear this time, but from overwhelming gratitude. She looked at her vision board on the wall. Almost everything on it was starting to come true. Not overnight, not without challenges, but slowly, consistently, beautifully. White medium star the bigger dream appears before going to sleep. Emily opened The Secret again, on one page. She reread a quote she'd underlined earlier. When you truly believe in your vision, the universe will bend too. Make it real. She closed the book gently. She was beginning to believe that completely. She whispered into the quiet room. This is only the beginning. Something even greater is coming. She didn't know how true those words were, because soon, Emily would face a life-changing decision. A decision that would test her courage and shape her future in a way she never imagined. Emma woke up the next morning feeling different, lighter, calmer, and strangely excited. She didn't know why, but something inside her felt as if it had turned on, like a small light flicking to life in a dark room. She walked to her kitchen window. The sun was rising over the San Francisco Bay, painting the sky with soft oranges and pinks. Emma closed her eyes and whispered the words Sarah had taught her. Thank you for today. Something good is coming. For the first time, she actually felt the words. Not like a wish, not like a dream, but like a quiet truth that a new pattern forms at work. Things were still stressful, but Emma noticed something surprising. People were smiling at her more. A coworker held the elevator for her. Her boss complimented her for the first time in months that IT wasn't magic flashing in front of her, that IT was small, but noticeable. Later that day, Emma realized she was changing. She wasn't complaining as much. She wasn't rushing or panicking. She was breathing, focusing, quietly repeating her new mantra. I attract what I think about. And slowly, her thoughts were shifting. The vision board that evening, Sarah visited Emma's apartment carrying a large cardboard board, scissors, magazines, markers, and tape. Emma raised an eyebrow. Are we doing arts and crafts? Sarah laughed. No, we're building your future. They sat on the living room floor. Emma cut out pictures of things she wanted but had never allowed herself to dream about. A cozy modern home, a happy couple walking on a beach, a peaceful reading room, a passport full of stamps, say. Picture of a woman smiling confidently at a crowd. As Emma placed the images, Sarah nudged her. These aren't just pictures. They're instructions to the universe. Emma stared at the board. Something inside her stirred. Hope, but stronger, maybe even belief. The unexpected email just as Sarah left, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at her screen and froze. A job opportunity, a position she had applied for months ago and given up on. They wanted to interview her. Her heart raced. The timing felt too perfect, too precise. She slowly whispered, Is this the secret working? For the first time, she didn't doubt it, not even for a second. The morning after the vision board session, Emily woke up with a strange sense of clarity. The opportunity she had received the previous night, the interview with the design company she had long dreamed of working with, felt like more than just luck. It felt like a door opening that she had created with her own thoughts and focus. For the first time, she wasn't anxious about the future. Instead, she felt ready. White medium star preparing for the interview, Emily spent the morning preparing carefully. She reviewed her portfolio, updated her resume, and even rehearsed answers to questions she thought the interviewers might ask. But this time, her preparation wasn't driven by fear or doubt that it was driven by confidence. She told herself, "I am capable. I am talented. I am ready." She repeated it over and over, letting the words sink into her mind. The nervousness was still there, but it no longer controlled her. By the time she arrived at the office building downtown, she walked with her head held high, smiling naturally at the receptionist. Even the simple act of smiling felt like a victory. White medium star, the interview itself was unlike any she had experienced before. The hiring manager, Mr. Collins, was sharp but kind. He looked at her portfolio and asked questions that challenged her creativity, but Emily answered each one calmly and confidently. At one point, he paused and said, "Emily, your work is very strong. But what I really like is your attitude. You seem centered, focused, positive. That's rare." Emily smiled. She felt warmth in her chest. For the first time, she realized that her new mindset wasn't just helping her attract opportunities. It was changing how others saw her. By the end of the interview, Mr. Collins nodded approvingly. "We'll be in touch," he said. Emily left the office feeling lighter than she had in years. That it wasn't just that the interview went well. It was that she had believed she could succeed and, in doing so, created the result she wanted. White medium star, the waiting game. The next few days were filled with anticipation. Emily continued working on Marco's project and Lena's rebrand, but her mind kept returning to the interview. She remembered a key lesson from The Secret. Don't focus on the how. Focus on the end result, and let the universe handle the details. So instead of worrying about whether she would get the job, she imagined herself already receiving the offer. She pictured herself starting at the new company, meeting her colleagues, feeling proud and fulfilled. The feeling was electric. It made her mornings brighter and her evenings calmer. White medium star, the good news finally. Late one Thursday evening, Emily's phone buzzed. It was an email from Mr. Collins. She hesitated for a moment, then opened it. Her eyes widened as she read. "Dear Emily, we are thrilled to offer you the position. Your talent, attitude, and vision impressed us. Welcome aboard." Tears filled her eyes. She read the email again. Slowly, the reality sank in. She had done it. Not through luck, not by accident, but through focused thought, belief, and action. She sat back in her chair and whispered softly, "This is what I wanted. This is what I imagined. And it's real." At that moment, Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude, a gratitude so strong it seemed to expand inside her chest. She knew that life was just beginning to align with her dreams. White medium star, a moment of reflection later that night. Emily opened The Secret one more time. She read, "When you truly believe in your dreams, the universe will bend to make them real." She closed the book, placed it on her nightstand, and looked around her small apartment. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like home. Her mind wandered to everything that had happened in the past few weeks. The restaurant branding challenge, the new client with Lena, the magazine feature, the job offer. Each experience had tested her belief, her focus, and her trust. Each one had reminded her that she was capable of creating her reality. And as she drifted to sleep that night, Emily felt a quiet but powerful certainty. Her best life was already on its way. The morning sun spilled through Emily's curtains like a warm promise. She stretched, feeling a quiet joy she had never experienced before. Life was no longer a series of worries and setbacks. It was a series of opportunities, lessons, and blessings. She glanced at her vision board, now crowded with images that reflected her goals, dreams, and aspirations. Almost everything she had imagined weeks ago was coming true. The design magazine feature, her growing client base, the restaurant project, even her dream job, were all steps along a path she had created with her thoughts, focus, and belief. White medium star, living The Secret. Emily stepped into her studio that morning, her heart light, her mind calm. The reality she had longed for was no longer distant. It was present. She reminded herself of the core principle she had learned from The Secret. Ask, believe, receive. She had asked through her thoughts and intentions. She had believed, even when fear tried to creep in. And now, she was receiving. Every task, every meeting, every design project was infused with new energy. She worked with focus, creativity, and a quiet confidence that made people notice her and trust her naturally. White medium star a moment of gratitude during lunch. Emily stepped out onto the small balcony of her apartment. She looked out over the city, watching traffic below, people walking, life moving forward. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for everything I have and everything that is coming." She didn't just say it, she felt it. The gratitude filled her chest, spreading warmth through her body. She understood now that gratitude was not just a feeling. It was a magnet for even more blessings. White medium star a call from Marco later that afternoon. Her phone rang. It was Marco. "Emily," he said, "I just wanted to tell you. Your work on the new designs is incredible. We presented it to the investors today, and they approved everything. You saved the project. Thank you." Emily smiled, realizing how far she had come. She had once feared losing this project, and now it was a success, thanks to her calm focus, creativity, and positive mindset. White medium star a bright future that evening. Emily sat on her couch, reflecting on the past month. She had started with uncertainty, fear, and doubt, but she had finished with clarity, confidence, and joy. She realized a powerful truth. Life will always have challenges, but the way you respond determines your reality. Emily closed her eyes and visualized her life a year from now. Her own design studio, buzzing with creativity, regular clients. She loved working with travel, freedom, and financial stability, a life filled with joy, gratitude, and possibility. She felt it as if it were already real. A calm smile spread across her face. This wasn't just wishful thinking. This was living the secret. White medium star the final lesson. Emily placed the secret back on her nightstand, gently closing it. She whispered softly, with a certainty she had never felt before, "I create my life with my thoughts. I attract what I focus on. I am ready for everything the universe has for me." And in that moment, Emily knew one unshakable truth. Her best life wasn't somewhere in the future. It was already here, and it would keep growing as long as she continued to think, believe, and receive. The journey had begun, and it would never truly end.